What is up, everybody? Welcome to the official Alive Studio curated equipment list specifically for Ecamm. I'm excited that you chose to download this PDF and actually follow the link over here. This video is going to be walking you step by step through this PDF and just my thoughts out loud on all the equipment that I'm recommending. So, yeah, without further ado, let's just get it started. All right, so this is the curated equipment list. One, this is for Mac users only. So if you are a PC user, this is your time to leave, unless you plan on coming to the light side and seeing what the world is over here. That said, what I will say is a lot of this equipment is cross compatible. It does work for things like OBS and vMix and any other live streaming software that you may use. So yeah, there may be some value in this. It's a free PDF, but yeah, this is specifically meant for Mac users. So just going over everything, we're going to start with why we use Ecamm. We're going to go over certain computers that we recommend, cameras and lenses, capture cards, mics, recorders, lights, accessories, and so on. So with that, let's get into why we use Ecamm. I know some of you are probably like, hey, if I wanted to do a podcast, why not just get like the Black Magic A10 Mini or just like something along those lines? While those tools are very easy to use, they're also very singular in the purpose that you're going to use them for. They're just ways to capture multiple camera angles via one machine and kind of stitch things together and go from camera to camera. When you work with Ecamm, you get so much more. You get the ability to almost have like live broadcast, which on TV, like intros, outros, packages, and graphics. It just depends how you design and put it all together, but it's capable of doing that. If someone is saying, hey, like I just want to do regular camera switching, then I would say, even if you start out with doing this, then you basically have the room to grow forward. Um, us at a live studio, we're not big fans of editing video. And that's why we work live. We use Ecamm to record things live. Does that mean we're going live? No, not necessarily. But we're getting the benefits of recording live all the time. When we're done recording for clients, they get their intros, outros, lower thirds, screen shares, like what you're seeing right here. It's a really powerful tool, and my argument is, hey, you have this room to grow forward now. And yeah, obviously it's a little more costly. But what I will also say is like with the ATEM, you still need to get other things and you still need to edit and stitch that footage together. And you'll be spending your time in Final Cut while us will be spending our time cutting up micro content for social media. Because we all know that's where the real funnel starts when it comes to doing business or doing podcasts or doing any of those things. So yeah, that is my whole spiel on like why I live, breathe, eat Ecamm. If you are interested, there is a QR code right down here. You can get a 14-day free trial and try it out. See if it's for you. What I'll say is Ecamm is very easy to use. It's very drag and drop friendly. And now like this tool is even getting better to the point where like you don't even need to know like other design elements, and you don't need to be bringing in other things like I do when I design outside. You can do a lot of the things, the cool things within Ecamm itself, like lower thirds, comments, scroll takers, all those things. So yeah, feel free to give Ecamm a try. I would compare it to OBS and all those other things, but a lot of those other tools require you to dig into menus, out of menus, whereas you can literally drag from your Finder window onto Ecamm and things just start showing up. Things just start resizing. What you see is what you get with Ecamm. So yeah, give it a try and let me know how you like it. Also, reminder, everything in this PDF, everything that is underlined is a clickable link. So please click the link or just scan that QR code, take a screenshot with your phone. You got it. All right. So how do we start? What is the right Mac for your studio? Um, Ideally, the right Mac is any Mac with a M1 chip or newer. M1 is Apple's latest silicone chips. They are super powerful. And they allow Ecamm to do the things that they sell, like individual screen, like not screen, individual camera recording and things like that, where you can not only record what you're seeing here with all the cameras and switches, but you can record local camera angles for up to 3 cameras as of right now. I'm sure they're going to be adding more soon. And yeah, like that's what having the M1 chip allows you to do with Ecamm. It's no holds back from Ecamm. If you're on an Intel Mac, you may notice some features that aren't available. I'm not privy to what technically isn't or is available with or without the Apple chips. All I know is that M1 or better, you're in the clear. So starting with the first one, with the Mac Mini. For the Mac Mini, it is a powerhouse. It's the thing to start out with. To be honest, I had a Mac Mini at one point, the M1, and I loved it. It served me so well. One thing I would say about having a Mac Mini is just the fact that you need to have all the accessories already there. And this is probably great for all of you. If you're a PC user right now, this is the reason that's the Mac to get for you. Because then you get to maintain and hold on to all of your existing equipment, your monitor, your keyboard, your mouse, all those little things you can just further plug those into a Mac Mini. Same thing with the Mac Studio and with the Mac Pro. The only thing is, as it goes up from there, the Mac Studio provides more ports. The Mac Pro provides the most ports, but also provides the ability to add PCIe cards, which are like full extensions, which will essentially you could have a whole powerhouse. Essentially, if you were to get a whole bunch of deck quad links, I think you could have a Mac Pro with anywhere up to like 12 4K cameras running on it, which is insane. That's like a live event production to the next level. That's like what you're watching on NFL, that's what you're watching on award shows. That's what you could run with that. The other options here, which is one of them that I'm using right now, MacBook Pro, but you also have the MacBook Air. When you start to go towards the laptop range, you really have to be careful about the IO ports. And what I mean by IO, the input and output ports. You need to make sure that you have enough of them. For me, the MacBook Pro serves as many, but I often pair these things with a USB hub or what I call here my HDMI hub, which is just a separate PCIe expansion. But yeah, that's basically the drawbacks. But you do get the added benefit of being able to travel with your machine. And that's something that we love here at a live studio because we are a traveling content studio. So literally you pair any of those laptops with a USB hub and you're pretty good. And some people call it USB hubs, some people call them docks. It's to each their own. For me, I use CalDigit, but we'll get to that later in the accessories. So yeah, that's pretty much everything here when it comes to laptops and Macs. If you're coming from PC, Mac Mini, Mac Studio, Mac Pro, that's for you. If you are just upgrading your laptop and you want to still have a laptop, I would suggest the MacBook Pro, but if money's tight, go for the MacBook Air and you'll still have that power because even the M2 chips are crazy. So yeah, let's go to the next. Start with cameras. There are so many cameras that you can be using. Here at a live studio, we love Sony. We use Sony cameras. It's the only manufacturer we use, so that's the only one I would really recommend. That said, there are tons of other cameras out there that work with this process. If your camera has a clean HDMI feed, it's going to work with Ecamm. It's going to work with any of the capture cards or any of the softwares. The cool thing is that certain Sony cameras, they do allow for you to hook up and connect to your laptops as webcams built in via their data ports, via their USB-C or micro USB, as we're talking about the ZV-1. But yeah, so you don't actually need a capture card. But what I will say is, and something that a lot of people overlook is their iPhone, their smartphone. The reason why I say iPhone is because we're in that Mac ecosystem. But the cool thing about iPhones is that they work wirelessly with Ecamm. The same way, I don't know if you've updated your Mac, but if you've updated your Mac to the latest firmware, let me figure out what that is called really quickly. If you've updated your Mac to Ventura, then you should have the ability to have wireless webcam within your computer. And anytime you open up a service like Zoom or Skype, you should see your phone as an option. As long as the phone and your Mac are on the same Wi Fi network, your phone and computer can connect wirelessly. You can use the front cam, the back cam. You can use things like center stage. You can really pretty much use all the things that it has, even like the blur mode so that it blurs out the background. You can use studio lighting effect if you don't have good lighting. So yeah, it's pretty brainless. And honestly, I use the iPhone within like professional set designs as what I like to call the Maury cam, where it's like you're live in action and you're like following the talent or giving the talent the ability to look at something in detail. So yeah, apologize if anyone heard any noise outside. I'm recording this live. So yeah, the other camera, which is the camera that I'm using right now, and it's essentially what I started the business with, is the ZV-1. The Sony ZV-1 is a powerhouse. It's an all-in-one camera that pretty much does it all. It has the lens built in, depending if you're getting the V1 or V2. Me, actually, I prefer the V1. It is a 24 to 70 focal length, and it's a 1.8 to an f2.8 aperture. So that means that it's letting a lot of light into that 1 inch sensor. It has cool things like background blur, and a lot of people, when I hop on webcams, or webcam, when I hop on conversations, they're always like, "Oh, you're using a DSLR right now?" And I always tell them like, "No, I am using a Sony point and shoot." But it's a beast. It does 4K 24, but it also does 1080 all the way up to 120 frames per second, which is insane. That's if you want to use it outside. Another crazy thing is it also has built-in ND filters. This is something that you usually see in a cinema level rig like an FX6 or like those things are above, and that's insane. That's unheard of. So you can make sure that, when you're outside in the sunlight, it's never going to be too crazy for you to hold on to that motion blur that you want to catch when it comes to capturing really nice, juicy, crispy footage. So yeah, back to the cameras. Um, the ZVE1 it's a go-to. I will say second and shortly after that is the Sony ZVE10. Honestly, I love this camera so much. It is based off of the A6000 line, but it's more suited for creators. It works out of the box very beautifully. You do need to get a lens for it, but the thing is, for Sony APS-C lines, there are so many great cheap lenses out there. Here, you know what? I got some ideas because I have some of this equipment with me. So I might as well show it to you, right? This is the Sony ZV-E10. I can show you also the ZV-1 really quickly, but here, let me pull that out. Let me see if I can wirelessly connect to my phone here and show you the goods. Hey, there we go. This is the Sony ZV-1 that I am actively using right now. I have it attached to an HDMI there, leading to a capture card in my USB hub. Yeah, like I was saying, this thing is no joke. It really is no joke. And then let me show you the Sony ZV-E10. So this Sony ZV-E10 is pretty much everything you need from a camera. And the reason why I have this link down here is because it's just one of those cheaper cameras that you can afford to get like a fleet of. You can afford to get two or three of them and it won't break the bank. It'll be as much as one of those high level, the cameras that everyone else is telling you to get. The Sony A7 III or the Sony A7 IV or the Canon whatever the Canons are, R5 or R7. Why get those things that are going to break the bank? You can get maybe two of these for the price of that. And like I said, Sony sells some really good cheap glass. This is a Sony 50 millimeter 1.8, 1.8. And on this APS-C body, it's a 75 millimeter equivalent. So it really gives you a lot of nice distance to park away from your talent and not be in their faces while you're recording shows. Yeah, lastly, on the list I have here is like, hey, if money does not matter to you and you got it, you are balling, chances are you didn't even download this free PDF. But if money isn't a problem and you're looking to build the studio with the best of the best equipment, look no further than the Sony FX3. The reason why I have the Sony FX3 down here is because it is one of the cameras that is Netflix approved, meaning whatever you produce on Ecamm with that Sony FX3, chances are if things blow up and do well, like you can sell it to Netflix and they'll be fine with it because you shot it with an FX3. And little side tip, the newest movie that's coming out by, I don't know if it's Christopher Nolan, but it's starring, I think it's John David Washington, Denzel Washington's son. The creator was fully shot on the Sony FX3. Hey, this is that camera. It works in low light like a champ. It actually sees in the dark, I believe. But yeah, check those things out. What I will say here, I did not link this really quickly for the Sony ZV-10. I did not link the Sony 50 millimeter 1.8 in this video or in the PDF either, because it is one of those, like, I feel like it's a lens that's definitely meant for photography more than videography. There are times where I have some focus hunting issues and like I just need a lock in focus. But I do have some really good equivalents down below the whole Sigma family of lenses from the 16 millimeter all the way to the 56 millimeter. All those lenses are f1.4s, I believe. So they're really great. They open up, they give you that nice depth of field. And then there's also the 18 to 50 f2.8, which is another beautiful chef's kiss lens. Pretty much it's like a 24 to 70 equivalent for the APS-C body. And then for the FX3, I linked just the go-tos, the G Master, the 16 to 35 millimeter G Master. Again, if money ain't a thing for you, then why not get the best of the best? And that's going to be the best of the best when it comes to Sony. Again, everything is linked below. Everything that is underlined will take you to a Amazon link. Again, I thank you guys. These are Amazon affiliate links, so hopefully you'll be sending some money my way as I've sent you there. I do have a price guideline down here. $1 sign meaning it's less than 100 bucks. $2 signs 100 and 500 bucks. $3 signs 500 to 1,000 bucks. $4 signs means it's $1,000 or more. And then anything with the star or asterisk on it is something that we own and use ourselves. So as you can see, I have my iPhone here, ZV-1, the ZV-10. If money wasn't a thing for me, trust me, I would have a whole fleet of FX3s right now. But yeah, that is it for cameras. Let's move on to the next one. So for capture cards, like the go-to is the Elgato Cam Link. It's what you see here on the far left of the PDF. The Cam Link is just the go-to. It's technically what I'm using right now to record my ZV-1, even though my ZV-1 does work out of the box via a USB. But what I will say is most of the times when cameras work like that out of USB, they are tending to drop down on feature sets. So I think if I was to do it with my ZV-1, it would limit me to 720p. It'd be a damn good looking 720p, but it's 720p nonetheless. In order to get that 4K juiciness out of it, you need to use something like a capture card. That said, with the newer Sony cameras like the FX3 and things like that, those do work via USB-C to the computer and in 4K. So yeah, starting with the Camlink is the go-to for capture cards. It's long in the tooth a little bit, but it is one of those, you'll see it in every YouTuber studio, and it does connect via USB-A, and you're going to want to have a dongle or something leading onto it. Maybe I can pull it up over here and see if you can actually see it back there. Yeah, so that is my cam link right there. And I have it. Oh, there we go. That's the perfect way to see it. And I have a dongle on it connected to my USB hub over here. And yeah, that runs straight to the Sony ZV-E1 right there. So yeah, I love it. It's a great capture card. That said, there are some other alternatives out there that are cheaper, like the EasyCap Cam Link 4K, and as well as I could have swore I saw the other day an Amazon branded Cam Link. I'm not sure if Amazon has their name on it, but they do in the title of it there. So yeah, that's great for capturing cameras and getting the most from them. Ideally, I think having a max of two cam links for your computer is probably the most your computer's inputs and outputs will take in without like bogging down the data on your computer and getting like choppy footage. Another thing when using the Cam Link is you need to make sure that the wires that you're using, whether it is to daisy chain or something, are USB 3.0. A lot of things on Amazon say USB 3.0, but they're not really USB 3.0. So yeah, that is the Elgato Cam Link. Moving on to the Elgato HD60, this is a solution for capturing things like gaming screens. So it's like a box that sits in between you and your console. And basically, you'll feed an HDMI wire from your console to this card. And basically, there should be another HDMI out of the console, out of that card to go to your TV. So it sends a signal to your TV. And then there's a USB wire as well coming from that card that comes back to your computer and allows you to see your screen as a camera feed within Ecamm. So yeah, Elgato has a go-to one, the HD60X. It's pretty good. It's definitely one of the go-tos. There are also some other brands, the EVGA XR1 Lite, really good one, under $100. And then lastly is the best bang for your buck, which is the Nix capture card. And honestly, I might move that over to the name over there. Just if you want the best of the best, Elgato HD60. But I will say the Nix capture card works just fine and it does what I needed to do. Everything's at 1080, but who cares? We're all watching things on our phones anyway, right? Thirdly is something called the Rode Streamer X. I've never used the Rode Streamer X, just being 100% clear here. It is just one of those tools that was just too good to not mention in this capture category. It is essentially a audio recorder and a capture card all in one. And it captures up to 4K, I think 30 or 60 frames per second. It's made by Rode, so you know you're going to get that great audio processing within it. And yeah, it's a little powerhouse. Ideally, it's set up for something like this singular camera shows where you're sitting at your desk and you just want one good camera, one good mic, boom, you're set. That one thing and you're set. It is a little hefty in price. I believe it's like anywhere from $300 to $400. So yeah, it's worth the money because then you don't need to get a recorder, but it locks you in at you can't grow your studio from there unless you get another one and another one. And it gets really funky really quickly. But for those of you that are just running singular shows on Ecamm where it's just you talking to the camera, one mic all the time, that is the way to go. Lastly, is something that I've been loving since I've gotten it, which is the Deck Quad Link 4K with a Sonnet hub. I'm gonna grab the box right here for the Deck Link really quickly. This is the Deck Link, and you're looking at this and you're like, whoa, that is just a computer chip, my guy. How am I supposed to use that? The Deck Link goes into something that is called a PCIe expansion hub, and it's this massive behemoth that I have sitting over here. It has power running to it separately, but the back of it has all of the ports, and I have one HDMI in there. Oh, I have no HDMIs there. Hold on, let me actually reach over to this and so that you can see this properly. Boom. So yeah, it has the HDMIs in it right there. And basically that's just that card that's sitting in there. And basically what this allows me to do is it allows me to not have to worry about cam links, not have to worry about, and like I told you, you can easily overload your inputs and outputs and lead to some really funky things happening where like your cameras will have dropped frames or your cameras won't even be like searchable. Like they won't even pop up on Ecamm because you're overloading your inputs and outputs. And what that means is like you're sending too much data. These things are 4K, and if you're recording at 4K, you're sending like upwards of, I don't know, I think sometimes it's close to half a gig for every like minute or something like that, which it adds up. It's crazy. So yeah, that this thing just takes out all the pain work of setting up a studio. Ideally, this is good for people who are running, four camera setups and more. Depending on the hub that you get, they also have hubs that have like, three ports where you can essentially plug in three of these things and have up to 12 cameras on a given hub, which is insane. The Mac Pro, like I said, if you were to have the Mac Pro, you would just plug these cards straight into the Mac Pro because it has the bay for them to go into. Whereas for anyone with a laptop or the Mac Studio or the Mac Mini, you would need to get this hub. So, yeah, everything is linked below. Please click away, fill up your cart, ask me questions. If you want to follow us on IG, I will put that later in the video. Also, video in description. You can follow us there. So, yeah, moving on to the next one, recorders. Recorders can be scary things to look at. For me, I remember when I first found the Rodecaster Pro, it was like a breath of fresh air for me. The Rodecaster Pro, I love it. It's the go-to. But I also have another little recorder that I like to use called the Zoom PodTrack P4. And it's one of those also easy to use things that just works. It can be powered by batteries or USB-C, and it's just a little portable powerhouse that allows you to do four-person podcasts wherever you want. And it's about the size of a phone or something like that. I wish it's in my box, but I will show that another day. But I can show you the Rodecaster Pro. The Rodecaster is it's the go-to. I think they really this put this device on the map and the type of device on the map in regards to just like podcast recorders that just work and don't make things look crazy, stupid, confusing. Yeah, that is why I have those two things linked up first. The Zoom PodTrack being the first one. I think the Zoom PodTrack you can probably get it for like 250, maybe even $200 used, maybe even $100 used if you're finding the right spot. For the Rodecaster Pro, Rode is still selling them because they're so good. They do have a Rodecaster Pro 2 now, which does further build on top of how good the original Rodecaster Pro is. I will eventually be updating to that at some point. Hopefully, I can do a review for it, but it offers other things like adding sound effects to voices. It offers one thing that I can't wait for and can't wait to just use is it offers the ability for those who are the producer to communicate with talent without that audio being heard in the feed. So I can tell someone to recenter themselves on the camera, or I can tell someone to not ask that person that question. Like that. It also allows you to plug in instruments, which is pretty hard to do and is like a real workaround for these first gen. But yeah, it's a powerhouse. Also, it does work with Rode's wireless mics, the Rode Wireless Pros and the Rode Wireless 2 and even the Rode Wireless Me. Those can all be connected to the Rode as wireless mics, and they are extra mic feeds on top of the four that are already built in. How cool is that? You can have a podcast with four people and still add two other people that are like wirelessly mic. Ideally, those would be the host, right? So yeah, and lastly, here is the PodTrack P8. It's made by Zoom. The Zoom PodTrack P8 is basically the same thing as the Rodecaster Pro and the Rodecaster Pro 2. It just offers more mic inputs, so it tops out at 6. Also allows you to plug in instruments, also has sound effect slots and things like that. It's a pretty great go-to recorder. I think it's around the same price range as the Rodecaster Pro 2 in that 500 to 600, $700 price range. But yeah, any of the recorders down here they are go-tos. It's what you're most likely seeing in everyone's setup in the background or when someone does their studio tours, that's what's there. So yeah, all links are linked within the PDF. And if you have any other questions, just ask us on IG. Next, microphone options. And this is where I'm going to point to this bad boy here, the Rode Pod Mic. I waited so long for these to come in. When I first originally got like my audio equipment, I got a Rodecaster Pro kit with the four Rode Pod mics and like the arms and XLR cables and even the monitoring headphones. But these things were so back ordered that these were the last things that came to me. They came to me in maybe 3 months after I got my Rodecaster. I was so heartbroken, but I love these things. They're solid, they're hefty, they sound great, and they don't break the bank. You can probably find them for $90 now, but yeah, they're pretty much go to microphones. They also have the Rode PodMic V2 now, which essentially is all of the greatness of this, but with the added benefit of it can plug directly to your computer. And you don't even need something like a recorder to begin with. It just sends that signal straight to your computer. So that's a good go to for those who are just they're just singular recording solo shows at their desk, no recorder needed, just everything built into one microphone. The other options here are the Rode Wireless Pro. These bad boys just came out. I have not used them. I heard they're amazing. They sound like Shure SM7Bs wirelessly. They give you a lot of gain. They reject a lot of noise. I got my eyes on it. I definitely want to get these at some point. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to do a review at some point for that. Next are the Shure MV7 and the Shure SM7B. The Shure MV7 is basically the same as the Rode PodMic V2. It is a USB mic that works out of box, plug it into your computer, and your software will see, hey, I see a mic. Let's connect to it. No recorder or drivers needed. A downside when it comes to those mics is you're not able to record audio locally, I believe. You're only able to record audio through the software that you use. And for those of you who are sound fanatics or forget what the word is, but audiophiles, you may want to be able to record audio separately. For those of you who are recording podcasts and maybe you have a big A-list guest and you can choose to record all the microphones individually. And if someone drops out and says, hey, I don't want to be in your podcast anymore, you can just remove their audio from the whole podcast without needing to have to reshoot or go through those legal loopholes. So yeah, the Shure SM7B is the de facto. It is the go-to. It is what on everyone's YouTube channel. Joe Rogan's using the I think Michael Jackson used it to record music back in the day. That just shows you how long they've been around for and how much of an industry standard they are. The only thing with the Shure SM7B is that you will or you may need a cloud lifter depending on the recorder that you're using. For the recorders that I was talking about before, actually, I can go back and page back. You would need a cloud lifter if you were using the Shure SM7B with the PodTrack P4, the Rodecaster Pro V1, or the PodTrack P8. Apparently, I've heard that the Rodecaster Pro 2 is so good in terms of audio processing that it does not need a cloud lifter at all. So you can plug in a Shure SM7B and have it sound good out of box. So yeah, take that with what you will, and let's move on to the next category. So yeah, like I said, all things linked below. Everything with an asterisk is something that we own. Moving on to lighting. Lighting can, as you can see, make or break a set. If I was to change this to my normal living room lighting, it wouldn't look that good. But yeah, let's talk about lighting. So the go-to that I always suggest people to go to are the newer RGB panels. Newer sells some really good, cost-effective RGB panels. The ones that I have linked here are more flatter panels that really spread color very well. But also, not only are they color, but they're bicolor in terms of they achieve your whites from, I think, 5600 Kelvin all the way down to 3200 Kelvin. And they can act as really good key lights, but they can also act as colored lights to really transform our space. Honestly, I would say if you were going to use a newer RGB panel and get the 2-pack, it'd probably be best to pair it with some sort of key light. And a key light's going to be your main source of light. For me right now, I am doing things a little rough, and my key light is none other than a table lamp that I have set down here. Who would have thunk it? So, all that to say, you don't have to break the bank to do things like that. My bad. Let me come back to here and switch my camera. Back to the presentation. Other lights that are really good to use are the newer CB 100 lines. I have down here the 150 linked up, and it's a bundle that comes with the softbox, the tripod, everything you essentially need. Ideally, if you were looking to just get started, I would suggest the newer RGB and that newer CB 150. You're pretty much set. You point the colored lights in your background, use the newer CB 150 to light up you and your subjects, and It's on it. I have linked the one with the actual, it's a softbox, but I forget the name of the softbox. It's like a ball softbox that kind of lights up everything evenly and spreads light to a group of people. So if it's placed in the middle of people, it should really hit everything really well and provide like a nice soft light on people that will get rid of those harsh shadows. Other lights that I really love to use that are like in my kit are the Aperture Minis. I use Aperture Minis 4 pack. It makes things very easy to charge. Everything charges wirelessly, like in this little suitcase, and you don't have to walk around with 4 USB-C wires to plug in each one. But the Aperture Minis are so damn dope. They're magnetic. They stick onto walls. They stick onto tripods. They stick onto really weird places. Anything that's metal, essentially, and they give you cool ideas to light things, whether that's putting them behind certain objects in your set designed to call attention to things you want to call attention to, whether it's a shelf or a product that you're selling. They're really cool in that way. Also, they all work wirelessly, so they connect to an app on your phone and they can sync up, change colors, do different color effects like police lights or flickering flames, thunderstorms, paparazzi, fireworks, you name it, it's got it. So yeah, another good brand here for key lights are the Amaranth key lights. These are a subsidiary to Aperture. I don't know if I said that word right, but they basically are Aperture's cheaper budget lights, and they're very small. They're like maybe the size of a little, like half a football, which is insane for lights because the newer CBs are pretty damn thick and hefty boys that you have to travel with in some sort of case or something. Whereas these things, they come with cases, I believe. And yeah, they're just little powerhouses. I think you can see it on the bottom right of the PDF clicking out. It doesn't extend that much further beyond that side. So yeah, any of the Amarans are pretty much good to go. The only thing with the Amarans, and I didn't find any bundles. I also didn't search that hard for bundles, but I'm sure there are bundles out there with your tripod and your softbox and all those things like the newer does above. But yeah, expect to pay a little more just because they come from that Aperture brand. So yeah, that is it for a lighting. Again, everything is linked down below. If you have any questions, hit me up on IG. Next is are the accessories that bring everything together. And the first thing and crucial thing is the Stream Deck. The Stream Deck is what I'm using to switch my scenes right now. And I am going to switch over to my phone right now. Nope, my phone. I'm going to switch over to my phone right now and show you this is the Stream Deck. This is how I'm controlling the PDF. This is how I trigger my lower third. That's my one scene here. And this is if I press this button, goes back to the presentation. If I press the other button, goes back to where I was at. If I hit this button, which I don't want to hit, it'll finish recording. Yeah, it's pretty damn powerful. They come in numerous sizes. The one you're seeing here is the 15 key V1. They also have a 15 key V2. No real difference, just better design. And probably the wire won't fray out on you. But they also have a mini one, which is a 6 key, and an XL one, which is a 32 key one. Ideally, I'm actually seeking to update to an XL one just so I can run shows with more intricate overlays, segments, and sections, and I can really build out a workflow that does requires me to use and be clicking around in Ecamm less. And it's more, hey, I have a hot trigger for that. Let's trigger that segment. Let's trigger this screen. Let's trigger that gain. Let's do XYZ. So yeah, that is crucial. Another crucial object that you'll want to get for your studio and specifically for your cameras are dummy batteries. Dummy batteries are so important. In this case, I have dummy batteries for my ZV-10, but they sell dummy batteries for all Sony cameras and all Canon cameras or most cameras that you might have. Cool thing about this Sony one is the fact that not for the ZV-10, they have a little door that allows it to shut, but still have the wire come out. So it's not like this thing that you feel all fragile about and like, oh, it's going to fall out. Like, now, when this is in, it's in, and your camera is going to be rolling for as long as you need it to be rolling for. As long as you have, power outages in the house, you should be good and all set to go and not have to worry about charging batteries or bringing batteries with you. So, yeah, dummy batteries, essential. Secondly, HDMI cords. Oh man, have I been learning my lesson about HDMI cords since I got this HDMI hub with the deck link. HDMI cords are so important, but also getting good quality HDMI ports are so important. Below here, I have linked some Amazon ones. Yeah, like HDMI cords, they're a dime a dozen, and you really have to look at the specs of something that you're buying. The sad thing is it's a lot hard. It's hard to figure out when something is of quality that you're getting. Ideally, going to a store like B&H or dare I say Best Buy, but I feel like Best Buy may force you to buy something that you don't really need. But yeah, any store like B&H or any like photo specific store should have the industry standard HDMI cords. They're gonna run you some money, and you're gonna be like, "Why am I paying $100 for an HDMI cord?" But if you are to go that direction, you will never run into problems where you feel like things don't work. A lot of times, a lot of like when people are setting up Ecamm studio setups, they figure out that like, things aren't working or I got the capture card. What's up? It's because the cable they got is a pretty cable and it only tops out at 1080p and your camera is sending 4K right now. So right now, that capture card doesn't see anything there. Same thing goes for USB-C wires or just USB wires in general. You want to make sure that your things are of the newest standard, whether that is USB 4.0 or USB-C. You just want to make sure that you do the due diligence and you are buying the latest cables and not buying some go-to cheap Amazon cables where they just put HD on the side and it's not really HD. So yeah, that is my spiel on HDMI cords and cords in general. Nextly are power conditioners. Power conditioners are so essential. Power conditioners are essentially they clean the energy that comes out of your household. Every like America is filled with what we call dirty energy. And you can actually hear dirty energy. A lot of audio devices are very sensitive to dirty energy and you'll hear like staticky and hiss things. And oftentimes when you go into studios, they have this room that's in the back where all their outlets are. Yeah, that's their power conditioner. They are cleaning all the energy in the room so that the devices are running as the manufacturer has intended them to. And it also ensures that your equipment isn't going to get damaged. Also, they have like specific fail safes for outages and things like that won't send like shock waves or things to the rest of your equipment, rendering them useless afterwards. So yeah, power conditioners are a go-to. I've seen tons of setups where people daisy chain one power surge protector to another, and by the time they're like 6 of them out, it's finally going to the thing that needs power, and there's no power left for it to give, because every time you daisy chain something, you're dirtying up the energy and you're losing some of that wattage that's going to the next and the next one. Whereas a power conditioner straight into the wall, it's gonna clean that energy and make sure that your devices, like I said, run as the manufacturer intended. Lastly, and very important here is the CalDigit USB hub. This is one of those tools, and I will show you mine really quickly. I was showing you to you earlier. This is just one of those tools that is just it's needed. It's needed if you are trying to get into this streaming industry. It allows you to just take all of the stress off of your computer and put it over here on something that is separately powered. Yeah, overloading your input and output ports is a real thing, and it will have you thinking that you bought some stuff and having you return stuff. Meanwhile, it's just the fact that you are trying to do too much with the ports that are on your laptop. When it comes to the Mac Minis, the Mac Studios, and the iMac Pros, those should have plenty of enough ports and have plenty of enough buses running those ports that you should be good. But if you are using your laptop as a production station, having a B dock hub, whatever you call it, is the way to go. It's going to allow you to plug in SD cards, USB-C cords, audio cables, and all of that just takes all of the stress off of your computer. And you can usually just have one USB-C Lightning 3.0 or 4.0 cable plugged into your computer, and that's it. And it also makes traveling with the setup that much easier, where it's just like everything is on one cord and that one cord's out. Oh, cool. Now it's a traveling laptop. I can take it with me. So, yeah, I can't stress how important USB hubs or docks are, definitely you need to be getting those. Lastly, here are just like audio XLR wires, tripods, camera mounts, table mounts, weighted mic stands, and like arms. Everything that's recommended here are things that I've used in the past before. Besides the weighted mic stand, I haven't used a weighted mic stand before. I just don't like the way they sit and set and you can see them. A lot of podcasts use them. I'm a big fan of just like hiding a microphone. I am not a big fan of the mic arm that came provided with my Rode kit, which is this right here. This thing is a little crazy. I would not recommend this for anyone. If you are going to get a mic arm with exposed springs, be prepared for this. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. That's just it's a lot to think about. And oftentimes you'll find people just like playing with those things and fiddling. People like to fiddle with their hands when they record podcasts. So you definitely want to invest in a good mic arm. Behind me, I do have the Blue Compass mic arms. They're really good. They can move really freely. They're flexible. I will say, like, you do hear a little handling when it comes to the pod mic. But if you were to pair that this thing down here with a Shure SM7B, chef's kiss, you're good. Someone could practically dry hump that mic and you would probably barely hear it. But yeah, it's really good at just like avoiding handling noise and practically be good to go. Yeah. Other things are like table stands, camera desk mount. All these things are just they're what you need depending on when you need it type of deals. It's nothing too crazy. But yeah, that is pretty much about the whole accessory kit. Here linked below on the PDF, I have a way to follow our Instagram. And also, if you are looking for more one on one studio build advice, definitely go to bookalivestudio.com and book a discovery call. Or you can book a discovery call on the PDF. If you click that link, it should take you to a discovery call link, Honeybook, where we can schedule some time, put it on the calendar, and figure out what type of studio you're trying to build. Yeah, I do have another video coming out pretty shortly where I'm going to be showing you how I put all these tools together to create 3 camera workflows in Ecamm specifically. So definitely be on the lookout for that. It's going to be a paid video where I like really go into detail, thinking about selling it for 25 bucks and having it for 10 bucks to rent on the website. It's going to be a video that I'm going to keep updating. Same thing with this PDF. This PDF is going to keep updating. And with that, I'm going to have to re-record these videos to go over new tech and things that have come out that are replacing everything. Shoot, hopefully one day our phone will be able to do it all, right? But yeah, nonetheless said, if you have any questions in the short term, follow us on IG. And yeah, my name is Chris. Thanks for watching this video. Let me trigger my lower third here. Yeah, if you're interested in watching shows that I produce with Ecamm, go to Copy and Steal. But yeah, I will see you later. Bye.